They saw how much money I was making and they said, I'm in the wrong job. That's a really, really, really dumb thing to say. Driven Mofos, welcome back to another episode of The Underestimated Entrepreneur. Thank you, all of you, for listening and also sharing this podcast. Our numbers are going up and up and up and up every day. So thank you to all of you who are sharing this with your friends, with your family, posting it on socials, tagging me in it. It's really, really cool to have such an awesome community of driven mofos. All right, today I'm talking about a dumb decision that most people make. Now, look, I was on a webinar last night and on there, someone said, I'm in the wrong job. And that was after hearing how much money I make per hour. Now, I don't think my hourly rate personally is that high. I actually think it's pretty low, especially as a consultant. As a coach, it's pretty high, but as a consultant, it's pretty low. The way that all came about was someone asked me, what my coaching rates are. Like if someone to work with me one-on-one, what would it be? Now, at the moment, it's $13.20 per hour. That's $1,320 per hour, which I don't actually think is a lot of money, especially for business consulting and so on. What happened though was someone on there wrote, I'm in the wrong job. And they might have been having a joke or whatever it is, but this is just something that happens when you hear what somebody else gets paid. People consider that they're in the wrong field or the wrong job. The reason why that is a really, really, really shitty way of thinking is that first of all, you're comparing where you're at to where somebody else is at. You're comparing your journey to their journey. You're comparing what your skill is to their skill. That's never, ever, ever going to end well. I used to do this when I was younger and it made me chase shiny objects. I would start something like, I remember starting in network marketing. I did a little bit of network marketing and I thought, this is a really good way of making money. I started making money because I saw all these other people making money. And then after a while, I just lost interest. After a heap of rejection, I went, you know what, this isn't for me. And I bailed. Then I went to another course. And in that course, I studied options trading. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to invest in an options trading course. Now, that's for those of you who don't know what options are. It's essentially like a share trading course, but they are a way more risky way of doing shares. Now, bigger risk, bigger reward. Anytime in life you think of bigger reward, please think of bigger risk. Because those who tend to make a lot more money tend to take a lot more risks. If you want to be safe, then making a lot of money through high risk activities is probably a really bad idea. So I got into options trading. I traded, I made a little bit of money, I lost a little bit of money, and I probably came out the same as where I started. And it took me about a year to learn it all and to start getting into it. Now, some people say, well, you need to invest, longer time and so on. I don't want to invest longer time because it's not something that I enjoyed. Sitting in front of a computer, looking at charts and stuff like that is not my strength. It is not my forte. I like working with people. So I got out of that. I started going to share programs, property investing programs, and I was just looking for a shortcut to money. And that's why I was broke. That's really what it came down to. When I chased money, money would move away from me. And what I've consistently found over the years working with tens of thousands of people is that those who chase money, especially when you're needy and desperate, the thing that you want moves away from you. So when you're needy and desperate, when you're single, you chase your partner away from you. Because you're needy. No one wants to be around needy people. If I was in a relationship with Jess, my wife, and she was needy all the time and I couldn't go out and I couldn't go hang out with my friends, and if I was home 5 minutes late, she would be freaking out and worrying. That relationship would not last. It couldn't last. Or if not, it would destroy both of our souls. It would not work. Now, I can go out, like tonight I'm going out for dinner with a heap of the guys. If I'm an hour late home or whatever, Jess doesn't really care. She doesn't really bother me. She knows I'm coming home. She knows everything's okay. If I'm a couple of hours late, then she'll probably send me a text and just go, is everything okay? Because she's worried a little bit. But other than that, she doesn't really message me. If I tell her, I'm going to head out with the boys to the city for a couple of hours, she's completely fine. She doesn't freak out about it. She doesn't stress about it because she's not needy. She's very secure as a person. The same as me with her. Because of that, our relationship works. A lot of my friends, when they're with their wives or their husbands or whoever, if they have a needy partner, all they do is they push that partner away. So I have some friends of mine, they go out, they come out for dinner, then we go out to the city. The next second, their wives are calling or their girlfriends are calling. You said you were going to be home at this time. Where are you? What are you doing? And their partners are needy. There's no possible way that benefits a relationship by acting or behaving like that. That is essentially someone who is fear-driven, and what they're doing is they're projecting their fears onto another person, and they're trying to control their behavior. That cannot work in any way, shape, or form long term. I'm either going to have a friend of mine who becomes very withdrawn, very suppressed, lives life through someone else's goals, dreams, ambitions, fears, worries, concerns, and it's going to destroy their soul. And that's why I have some old friends of mine that I very rarely catch up with. Why? Because they have no energy, they can't be bothered doing anything, because after years and years and years of being with their intimate partner, they are burnt out, worn out, and they know if they go out and they hang out a little bit too late, their partner's going to freak out and skits out and it's going to come up in an argument. That's bullshit. That is a needy person. If you're somebody like that, you need to run headfirst into a brick wall until you knock yourself unconscious. Do not do that with your intimate partner. You will kill their soul. And I mean, life should get better with the partner that you're with. It shouldn't get worse. A lot of people, their partner, it makes their life worse. Why? Because they're with someone who is needy. Needy people are dangerous. They live in fear, they stress all the time, and they worry. Now, coming back to money. If you're needy with money, you chase money away, exactly the same as an intimate relationship. That's why I use that analogy. It moves away from you. If you sit there and you stress about money all the time, you are literally chasing it away. You'll make poor decisions, you'll make poor life choices, and life will not be enjoyable. I get a lot of people come to me and they're like, how do you just enjoy life? Like, how do you... I actually had this question last week from somebody. They said, when do you know it's the right time to buy a supercar? And I said, there's never a right time to buy a supercar. And they said, how did you decide to buy yours? And I said, I saw it, I liked it, I made a decision to buy it, and I bought it. Is that a smart way of doing things? Maybe not. Maybe not, right? If I go and ask an accountant and I say, is that a good idea? It's probably a really fucking dumb idea to an accountant. If I ask a lot of friends of mine who are business owners, they go, well, that's a bad idea because that money could have been used elsewhere in the business. Maybe that's true. But here's the thing. If your whole life is based around making money and being successful in business, I personally believe that for most people out there, you will destroy your life if you make all of your decisions based on business and money. On the other hand, if you make all of your decisions based on being happy and partying and enjoying life, you're probably going to destroy your finances, your life, and your business. But there's a happy medium and you've got to think through things effectively. So I saw a car that I wanted. I was working really, really hard. The business had good revenue. And I thought, you know what? I've got a chunk of change in the business. I can go put that money down on the car. I can use the car as marketing and branding. I know that the money will be made back because it'll give me more exposure, especially in the business that I do. And so I grabbed a bunch of cash and I laid it down. Then I went and loaned a bunch of the rest, which wasn't a heap like a lot of people. There's a lot of douchebags online and they're like, oh, it's the car's rented. The thing is that you've still got to have the cash flow to be able to pay for whatever it is. So in Australia, I very rarely know people who rent cars. Okay, it's not a common thing. In America, it's very, very common, but in Australia, not so much. And if you were going to rent a car for, let's say, I've had my McLaren for 3 years now. If I was going to go to rent that car, it would cost 3, 4, 5 times the amount in rent as it would just owning the car. But what you do is, for me personally, it was just a better option to finance probably about half of it and then just lay down the other half in cash. Now, everyone has their own strategies, their own ideas. Some people just want to pay cash up front. Some people loan the whole lot. Whatever your financial decision is, who cares? Who gives a fuck, really? It doesn't matter. But the thing is, you have to have a plan. You have to have an understanding. You have to have an idea around why you do what you do. But the thing is that there's never a good time to buy a supercar. Just like anyone who owns a private jet, if you go and ask them and you say, when's a good time to buy a private jet? Financially, the answer is never. On the other hand, if you want to save time, and the most valuable asset to a wealthy person is time, they will tell you, a rich person will tell you that the best thing that they ever bought was their private jet because it saves them time. And for them, time is money. So if they can buy more time, they can make more money. Now, to most other people, they don't think like that, which is the reason why buying a private jet is stupid. It's the same reason why the average person or the average business owner buying a car is stupid. Going out and buying a supercar, if you're a plumber and you just want to have one on the side, that's probably a bad financial decision. It might be a good lifestyle decision. It all depends. I work off of the flow of somebody like Tai Lopez. He has a great analogy. He says health, wealth, happiness, and love. Now, my 4 key pillars of life are mindset, health and vitality or health and energy, relationships, which includes intimate relationships, friendships, business associates, clients, whatever, and then money and wealth. Now, business falls into money and wealth as well, but those 4 key pillars for me are super important. I believe that in life, you have to have health, wealth, happiness, love, all those 4 key pillars working well, as I just mentioned. So if you're working your ass off all the time and you don't have a way of enjoying life, your life is going to suck. On the other hand, if you enjoy life all the time and you enjoy it too much and you're not working hard enough, life's going to suck. So you've got to keep everything in balance. First of all, health. Are you keeping your health in balance? Are you keeping your wealth in balance? Are you keeping your relationships or your connections in balance? And then are you happy? Health, wealth, happiness, and love. So are you happy and do you have great people around you? Great love. If you do that well, you win in life. So for me personally, I just try to stay balanced about it. Is buying a supercar a good idea, an intelligent idea? Maybe, maybe not. My happiness went up. It didn't go up because I had a supercar, but what it allowed me to do is go out and go pick up my friends, go for drives, go and hang out with all different people. I mean, on the weekend, I went to a supercar drive day. And when I drove in, there were probably like 100, 150 people that surrounded the car, took photos, came up to me. Young kids, these young 14, 15-year-olds, they came up and interviewed me about what it's like to be a successful millionaire. All of those types of things. I'm inspiring people. In fact, today I was on TikTok and I noticed that a bunch of them have made videos about the car, made videos about me. And it's cool that I get to inspire a generation of people, having kids come and sit in the car. I think that it's really, really, really cool to be able to use my car to inspire other people. Now, I would say that if you're going to go buy a supercar and you just want to have it to impress people, really bad idea. That is really, really dumb. You have to search inside your soul why those things are important to you. So do things that are important to you. If you love traveling, go and travel, but be balanced about it. If you travel all the time, you're going to be broke. And a lot of people who just backpack around the world, they probably don't have a lot of money. But on the other hand, there are people who work their ass off for 30 to 40 years, never travel, and they keep saying, well, one day when I retire, then I'll travel. But by the time they travel, they're too old anyway. They can't do half of the stuff that they want to do. Bad idea. So just keep shit in balance. And very rarely does life ever stay in balance, but you've got to know the dynamics of how life operates. But coming back to chasing money, if you chase money, it will normally move away from you. Or if money doesn't move away from you, other areas get destroyed because you're only chasing money. If you're one of those hard-ass working business people that just work all the time and you're on the grind and you're up at 5 a.m. every morning, you get home at 6 o'clock at night, you don't see your friends, you don't see your family, you're just always busy and you're always working. And then on the weekend, you're thinking about work and you do that all the time and you've got 20 investment properties. You've got this massive portfolio. I still think that you're a moron because your life is shit. And I meet plenty of people with a shit life. Their hands are calloused, their back's fucked, their body's broken and disintegrated and falling apart. They're in their 50s and 60s and they're still grinding and still working. Great. You're going to leave a $50 million property portfolio to your kids, and your kids are probably going to sell half of it, live on the rest, become, I think, probably less driven and less ambitious. And then their kids, your grandkids are going to lap it all up because they're going to see that their parents have a lot of money and don't really work that hard. And then they're just going to take their foot off the gas. That's why there's something called the third generation curse. The third generation is normally rich people. Their grandkids are fucking lazy. Okay. And that happens all the time. Why? Because they just don't have the need to work. They don't have the goals and the ambitions to work hard. It's just easy to just bum off of, your grandparents. And your grandparents don't put as much pressure on you as what your parents do. So the kids of the parents with money normally work hard. The grandkids get away with it because normally grandparents get along with the grandkids way better than what the parents get along with their own kids. Okay, it's just how life operates in most cases. So if you're chasing money, money will move away from you. Also, if you're working really, really hard, you're going to destroy your lifestyle if you don't think about the lifestyle that you want to create. Now, for some of you who are listening to this, if you're in your 20s, work your ass off, right? Push hard. Use your energy. Every decade of life, you have a superpower. In your 20s, your superpower is energy. Use your energy. Now, most 20-year-olds, even if you're listening to this, you're going to hate me saying this, but it's true now being a 40-year-old and having a little bit more wisdom. In your 20s, you have a lot of energy and not a lot of brain capacity, right? You're not that smart. Although a lot of 20-year-olds think that they're smart. So in your 20s, you want to work your ass off, but also gain knowledge. So hang around people that are smarter than you. Something that is a massive weakness in this day and age is that young people in their 20s want to go out and start businesses. They want to do everything themselves. They're very codependent. I used to be exactly the same. The problem with that, though, is that you're not gaining knowledge fast enough. If you're in your 20s and you don't act like all your other friends in your 20s, you work your ass off, You hang out with great mentors, great coaches, and you invest a lot in learning about yourself or learning about the key areas of life. If you do that well, by the time you hit your 30s, you will start harvesting. So you'll start reaping rewards. In your 30s, it's about consolidating the knowledge that you have with the energy that you have. You have a great balance of energy, enthusiasm, and mindset. When you put that together with the knowledge that you've gained, you start to reap rewards. So what you'll find is that your wealth starts to increase. You'll start making more money. You'll start to build a bit better lifestyle. By the time you hit your 40s, which is where I'm at now, I'm 41. By the time you hit your 40s, you'll start to be laying down really solid foundations and you'll start having a lot more knowledge. And so money will start working more for you. But also you'll still have pretty good energy as well, but your energy won't be the same as in your 20s. In my 20s, I could go out drinking like 5 nights a week, partying, late nights, early wake ups. Yeah, it probably destroyed me mentally and emotionally, and I probably wasn't that smart. But what I did find was that I could have a lot of like crazy shit going on in my lifestyle. Now I can't do it. You know, I like to make sure I get good sleep. Not that I get good sleep all the time, but I like to have good sleep. Sleep's important to me. I maintain my energy. I try not to eat bad food or shitty food because it makes me tired. Whereas in my 20s, I could eat Maccas, go out and party, run amok, whatever. It didn't matter. Now I've got to be more cautious. So my energy now is as good as what it was in my 20s, but I've had to make a lot of lifestyle changes to keep that energy high. My friends in their 50s are normally in harvest time, which means that they're reaping the rewards in their 50s and 60s of all the hard work that they put in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. It's just something to think about. But if anything that you chase and you're needy with will push away from you, in life, fear expands. Fear will expand itself. So if you're fear-driven and you're chasing money, it's going to move away from you. So coming back to the webinar last night, when the guy said, you know, I'm in the wrong career or the wrong field, when you're needy and you're chasing money, you'll bounce between careers. You'll bounce around between jobs. You'll bounce around between businesses. And you're always looking for something, but that's a really fucking bad way of living life. What you want to do is you've got to realize what value is. I personally don't think about money. I think about value. If I need more money, I go and create more value. And this is what I train my staff on. If you want to make money, you have to add value. And what I find is a lot of people who come into our company or our business or whatever, they'll want to make money, but I have to retrain them on how to add value. If you want to make more money, you've got to add value. If I add more value to my customers, I'm going to make more money. Now, this guy last night, he said, you know, I'm in the wrong business. And my feedback was, well, here's the thing. I've invested over $2 million in study and learning. I've traveled all around the world to learn from the smartest people. I didn't start spending $2 million a year, but I made $40,000 a year and spent 20 of it on study. Then I got to $100,000 a year and I spent $50,000 to $60,000 a year on study. I spent almost every cent that I had that didn't go towards food and overheads, like as in rental or back then I was renting. I spent as much as I could on learning. Are you prepared to do that? And most people aren't. Most people want to pay off their car, their lifestyle. They want to go out and have dinner and shit like that. And because of that, they probably have $1,500 a year to spend on personal development and personal growth. And because of that, it scares them spending $1,500. So they want to just go buy a book. That's it. I never did that. I started completely differently. I invested every cent that I had in learning and growth. And even to this day now, I still spend. In fact, I've got a meeting in about an hour with a new mentor or a potential new mentor from the US. And so I reached out to the company and I said, hey, look, I'm looking for a mentor in this area. Can we have a chat? Just send me through the details, what's the pricing, everything like that. And then can I hook up a meeting to talk about it? And so I got a meeting in an hour. I have mentors all the time. I probably have about 6 on the books right now. Okay. And so I might pay anywhere between $20,000 to $50,000 a year just in mentors and coaches. I meet plenty of people who make way more money than me. And I say to them, how many coaches and mentors do you have? Oh, not really many. I catch up with my accountant once every 6 months. That's not going to get you to where you want to get to if you want to live a great life. Now, you can make a lot of money. If you're very money driven, you can make a lot of money doing that. But you won't have a great life in most cases. Or you can be the other way around. You can have a great life. You don't have many mentors, but you probably have no money. So you decide how you want to live. I like to have it all. I'm very greedy. I like to have everything. And when I say greedy, I'm not money greedy, but what I'm saying is I'm lifestyle greedy. I like to live a life that I enjoy. I'm doing this podcast not because I have to, because I enjoy it. I enjoy getting the feedback from the community. I missed an episode the other day because one of my team members was away. And straight away, I said to everybody in the team, this can't happen. Like if you're away, that episode has to be edited, uploaded, everything like that for our community. That's why I do this. Last night, I was up doing my webinar or my masterclass until 10:30 at night. Yesterday morning, I think I was up at 5:30 or 6. I do it for the community. I love this stuff. I love teaching this stuff. That's why I do things. If I didn't enjoy it, I'd just stop. In 2016, I had the world's #1 podcast in the self-help field. I was above Lewis Howes and a whole bunch of the other top guys, Tim Ferriss and all that. I decided to stop it because I stopped enjoying it. So to me, the enjoyment of what I do is really important. I love working hard, but I love enjoying what I do. That's why I do it. So when you're needy and you do things just to make money, you won't do it for long enough to put runs on the board. Also, if you're needy, you're not going to invest the cash that you need in order to grow effectively. So if you can keep growing, if you keep learning, if you keep adding value to people around you, you will make good money. And my last bit of feedback to the guy last night on the webinar was, here's the thing. I've invested over $2 million in personal growth and self-growth. I didn't start there. I started with spending as much as what I possibly could on personal growth. And I've done that for many, many years. Are you prepared to do that as well? 99.9% of people, the answer is no. And that's why they don't have that pay rate per hour. Then the other thing is, are you prepared to work for 20 years and work your ass off in order to get there? Most people, the answer is no. They think they work their ass off, but they want Christmas holidays, public holidays, and all the other holidays. Plus they want a 3-day work week. They want to wake up late, go to bed early, whatever. That's cool. But then don't complain about your hourly rate. On top of that, the really key piece of information, and this is the important part, is how much value do you add to your clients and your customers? And I said, here's the thing, I'm underpaid because if you go and you have a look at my social media, so if you follow me on Instagram, you will see me sharing testimonials or stories of clients that I've worked with. I know some of them are watching or listening to this right now. So I'll give you an example. Ben McGreen from Epoxy Flooring Adelaide. When he started with me, he was doing just under $1 million a year. He worked with me for 12 months, or he's still working with me now. But in that 12-month period, he's essentially grown and added an extra $2 million to his business. So he started with just under $1 million, and now it's about $3 million. And actually, it's still growing. So if he's made $2 million by working with me, and I charge him my charge rate, and let's say even if he pays me $40,000 or $50,000, let's say it's $50,000 a year to work with me. If he pays $50,000, out of that $50,000, he just made an extra $2 million. That's not a bad ROI. Where else are you going to get that? If you invest in property, you're not going to get that return on investment. So the return that I gave him back is way more than what he gets in property. It's way more than what he gets in the share market. It's way more than what he gets in crypto, unless crypto is having a massive bull run. My point is, you've got to look at the return on investment in how you spend your time, but also how you spend your energy, how you spend your thought processes. All of these things are important, the people that you hang around and everything. Because of that, the value that I was able to create for him, it's a no-brainer to invest that money. So paying my hourly rate isn't that high. Now, if someone else comes into the coaching industry and they charge what I've charged, that's great. But can they deliver that same outcome? So it's not about the hourly rate, it's about the return on investment. Let's say I go to my doctor. I go to my doctor that I go and see every quarter. I think he charges like $250 for a half an hour consultation. And I go have my half an hour consultation. I go get all my bloods done. And then after that, I go back and I have another consultation. For most people, that's an extreme charge rate, right? The thing for me is that I get my money back because he keeps my energy high. He keeps me from getting sick, everything like that. So I'm completely happy to pay that amount. Most people don't think about life through the filter of return on investment. I don't care if I pay a doctor $1 million a year. If that doctor can provide $10 to $20 million worth of value back into my life by giving me the energy, by giving me the thought process, by giving me the clarity of thought, all of those things it's worth every cent. If I have a business mentor and a business consultant, I would rather pay $100,000 a year for that business consultant to come in and to grow my business by millions and to give me the right advice and that I can bounce ideas off of, than pay someone $250, get the wrong advice and fuck something up. In fact, I know that there are clients that I'm working with right now. They paid a consultant $150,000 a year for consulting in their business. They run a multi-million-dollar company. When I was talking to them, I immediately knew that the consultant gave them the wrong advice. Because of that, they lost $3 to $4 million at least in their business, and then had to fire the consultant, and that already paid them, $100,000+ a year. I picked that up in like the first 10 to 20 minutes of working with them. I feel really bad because of that. Like, that's such a bad place to be put. You've invested $100,000, got the wrong advice and lost millions. That's a bad fucking idea. the ROI or the return on investment is negative. That is really bad. If you start thinking about return on investment and value, I guarantee your rate will go up. If you're an electrician, for example, if you're a tradie and you think about your clients and you think, how can I add value to my client? It's not just a matter of just putting in a light switch. It's what else is important to the client. Is making sure that I come in and I've got clean clothes instead of walking through their house with my work boots on and leaving shit all over the floor. Yes, you might be $2 cheaper than the other electrician per hour. Who cares? To the client, they would have rather paid an extra $10 or $20 per hour and had you take off your fucking work boots before you walked in the house. So the value is the important part, the value that you add. Price is not important. Price is only important to cheapskates. And I know that there's a bunch of you who are listening on here who are fucking cheapskates. And that's why you'll struggle in life with money. Most of you, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, value is important. I don't think about money. I think about value. What's the value? I'm happy to pay my gardener to come and to do all my gardens, and I'll pay him more. Why? Because when I walk out to the garden, the weeds are pulled out. Everything's clean. The garden looks great. I could hire someone cheaper, and I've done this before. I've hired plenty of people to come and do my gardens, and I get pissed off. I walk outside and they've mowed the lawns. They've done everything out in the garden. They've pulled the weeds out of the garden. And then I walk down the footpath and I'm like, what the fuck are their weeds doing on the path? And then I call them. I'm like, hey, there's still some weeds here. Oh yeah, we didn't quote for that. I don't give a fuck whether you quoted for it. Just send me the invoice. Because here's the thing that's important to me. My time is important. My time is important and the way that it looks is important. So I don't care whether you bill me an extra $20 to pull the weeds out in the footpath. I just want to walk outside and see my garden done properly. They're charging me the wrong thing. They're charging me to mow the lawns and to pull out the weeds from the garden. Perfect. But what I want, the thing that I'm paying for, is I want to be able to walk out to my front and backyard and it looks mint. That's what I'm paying for. So just deliver me that service and send me the fucking invoice. It's that simple. That's the value that I want. I had cleaners, and when the cleaners came in, I went through like 10 different cleaning companies because the same thing would happen. They'd go through, they'd quote up the house or whatever, and I'd go, look, if there's other bits and pieces, just do it and bill me. About 2 months in, I noticed that there's chips on the skirting board where they've banged up the vacuum against the skirting boards. And then also there was things that hadn't been cleaned. And I would send them messages and they go, oh, we didn't quote for that. You're not listening to me. I just want a clean house. I want to be able to wake up in the morning, feel proud of my house and get to work because that's what makes me money. Clarity of thought makes me money. When I walk around my house and I go, oh shit, that's dirty. Oh, there's dust on that. I start thinking about the things that I have to do. Now, for most of you, most of your days are spent thinking about all the tasks that you need to do, which if someone else did those jobs, your mind would be clear to make better decisions. So for me, having a dirty house costs me money because I start thinking about doing the washing, doing the dishes, all of that sort of shit. I would rather not wake up and think about that. I would rather think about how I'm going to add value to the community, the next product and service I'm going to deliver, doing the podcast, everything like that. If I can do that well, I'm going to add more value. So look at life through the filter of value exchange. Understand your customer, understand the value that they want delivered. If you do that well, I guarantee in whatever industry you're in, you'll make a lot of money. But if you don't think about the value that you're adding to the customer or your customer avatar, I guarantee you're always going to feel like you're underpaid. You're always going to be overworked. You're going to be looking for the next greatest thing that you're going to jump into. All of those things are a really bad idea for long-term wealth. You can make a lot of money in any industry. You can make a lot of money in cleaning bathrooms. You can make a lot of money in cleaning cars. You can make a lot of money in technology. You can make a lot of money in electrical. You can make a lot of money in plumbing. You can make a lot of money in management. You can make a lot of money in anything. You just have to stick to it long enough and see everything as an ROI, a return on investment to the person who's paying you, and understand what value looks to them. And you'll always make good money. The reason why I charge what I charge is because I'm extremely good at what I do and I've been committed to this for 20 years. If this was day one, I would be stupid to charge what I charge. And there are people out there who try it and they never last long in the industry. So, Driven Mofos, to summarize, return on investment is important. You can charge whatever you want to charge, but understand the value that you deliver to your customer. Number one, what do they get out of it? What value do they get back? How do you make their life better and how do you make their life easier? That's important. And then finally, return on investment. If you look through everything through the filter of return on investment, and value exchange, they were the two things. If you look at everything through value exchange and return on investment, I guarantee you always make a lot of money. You'll be in the industry for a long, long time in whatever industry you're in, but you also have to have a lot of focus as well and do really good at something. Driven Mofos, have a great day. Keep kicking ass. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you haven't rated and reviewed this podcast, please remember to do so. All you have to do is go to the app that you listen to this podcast on. You'll see a little star rating there. Just click on the star rating. Hopefully give us a 5-star for the value that we deliver, especially because the podcast is free. It's free information, free knowledge. My team love it. They check the star reviews every week and they get pumped when they see more star reviews out there. So if you could do that for me and my team, I would really appreciate it. I know that we've crossed over 150,000 downloads of this podcast. I know that most of you haven't rated and reviewed this podcast. So if you could please do so, it is important to me. It's important to the team. The more you do that, the more this podcast gets out to more people. And that's my goal for this podcast, is help more people. Anyway, Driven Mofos, keep kicking ass. Have a great day. I appreciate you all. See you next time. Most people waste their life, and I just don't want you to be one of them.